Hey guys, it's Alexis, aka the Sloth Reader, and I'm here today to bring you guys a TBR for a readathon I will be doing in the months of July and August. The readathon I will be doing is the July and August 2016 Summerbookathon that is hosted on Instagram. I will leave a picture on the screen somewhere that has the list of things as well as all of the creators, and I will also leave a link down in the description below for one of the pages that I initially saw the readathon at. I'm super excited because the kind of general idea of this readathon is for every week in the months of July and August, there is a different genre that you basically read a book for that genre. So I'm super excited to get to it and to check it out. And this will actually be my first readathon I'm actively going to participate in, so I'm super excited to get to it. So like I said, the idea of this readathon is that every week there is a different genre, and then you kind of just read books within those genres during these weeks. On the Instagram pages, they had mentioned that you can read as many books as you want, but since I'm a very slow reader, I typically can only read one book a week. So I kind of stuck to that, and I also have my own little goal that I'm going to be trying to complete during these 2 months. So I tried to pick books that were on the smaller side so I could complete the readathon, but also complete other challenges that I have going on that will correlate with this, that I can make correlate with this challenge. So yeah, let's get into it. So the first week of July, starting on July the 4th. In the first week of July, challenge is to read a contemporary, and for me, I will be reading If I Was Your Girl by Meredith Rousseau. I've been dying to read this book pretty much since I first heard about it, and this book is a very short book. It's only like 200 pages, so it's really perfect for that readathon style. And this book will also go to my Around the Year in 52 Books challenge, which is to read an identity book. In this case, I will be using an identity book focused on the trans community. For the second week in July, starting on July the 10th, the challenge is to read a middle grade book. And for me, I will be reading A Series of Unfortunate Events, The Bad Beginning, which meets another one of my Around the Year in 52 Books challenges, which is to read a book from the Goodreads recommendations page. And this one was on my Goodreads recommendations page, so I will be reading The Bad Beginning for this week, which I'm super excited because I know it's a super short book, and because of the formatting, I know it's super easy to read, so I will be excited to be able to use that one. The third week in July, starting on July 17th, the genre for this week is fantasy, and I will mention that the folks that are hosting this particular readathon will be doing a read-along of The Star-Touched Queen by Roshani Chokshi. I have already read their Star-Touched Queen, so I won't be joining them for their read-along. Instead, for this, I will be reading The Heart of Betrayal by Mary E. Pearson. I'm currently reading Kiss of Deception right now, and so I figured I would just go ahead and stick that into that particular place so I could go ahead and read the sequel before Beauty of Darkness comes out. For the fourth week in July, which starts on July 25th, it is to read a science fiction book, and for me, I will be reading Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I've heard so many awesome things about this book, and it has two of my favorite things in it, which are 80s pop culture references and video games, and for that reason, this also counts towards my Around the Year in 52 Books challenge, which is to read a book about something you're passionate about, and for me, that's video games. And this book is perfect for people like me who enjoy video games and 80s pop culture references. For the first book in August, which actually technically the first week in August starts on July 31st, August 1st is the Monday, but that week has the challenge to read a dystopian, and for that one I will be reading Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, which this and The Bad Beginning I will be getting from the library. But Fahrenheit 451 is also going to meet my Around the Year in 52 Books challenge, which is to read a book about books. And of course, Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury is all about censorship and the government taking an active role to burn books that they feel are not appropriate for public consumption. So I'm super excited. I know it's a very classic dystopian, and I love dystopians, so I'm really excited to finally get a chance to get around to reading this one. For the second week in August, which starts on August 7th, the challenge is to read a mystery, and for that one I will be reading And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. This also meets my requirement to read one of the best top 100 mystery books of all time for my Around the Year in 52 Books challenge. And I've read a bunch of Agatha Christie before. I've just never read this one, which is kind of silly because this is considered one of her most famous works, but I never have read this one, and so I'm actually really excited to read it. And there is a bunch of spin-offs, weirdly enough, about this book that I've been dying to read, but I wouldn't read those before I read this one, so I'm excited to get to this one. For the third week in August, the challenge is to read a supernatural book, and for that one, I will be reading Unearthly by Cynthia Hand. This also meets my a requirement for my Around the Year in 52 Books challenge, which is to read the 16th book on your TBR, and according to Goodreads, this is the 16th book I ever marked as a book I wanted to read. And this book is pretty big, but the font inside it is also kind of huge, and I know that it is a paranormal book about angels, and for a long time ago that used to be like the only thing I read, so I know that I can get through this one pretty fast. And the last week in August has the challenge to read a historical fiction book, and for that one I will be reading The Winter Sea by Susanna Kersley. This book isn't even my copy, this is a friend of mine's copy that she loaned to me literally like 2 years ago, and I never got around to reading this book. But this also satisfies one of my challenges for Around the Year in 52 Books, which is to read a book that takes place on a different continent. And so this takes place in Scotland. Of course, I'm from the United States, so that's definitely a different continent. And so I will be reading this so that I can finally give it back to her when I see her in September. And yeah, this also meets everything. So this one's kind of a big book, so this one definitely worries me, but it is at the end of the readathon, so that's kind of a good place for the larger books to be. And along with all of that, I'm also going to be, in between all of the other books, trying to read Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. I will be actually finally getting a chance to meet Sarah J. Maas in September when she's in Jackson, which is the closest she's ever been to me. And I'm still having to drive to other states to see her, but I will finally be getting to meet her. And I refuse to go to the book signing without having read Queen of Shadows, so through the months of July and August, I will also be trying to read this book as well, so that I will be prepared fully for Empire of Storms when I pick it up at the book signing. So those are all of the books I plan to read for the July and August 2016 Summer Readathon. Like I said, I will leave a link in the description below, so you guys can check it out and also see the challenges and meet the folks who are hosting the challenges and maybe pick up their Instagram pages as well. But I'm super excited. Like I said, this is my first readathon, so I'm kind of nervous, but I'm kind of excited, and hopefully I'll be able to meet all of my challenges. Alright, bye guys, y'all have a great day.